My wife is a nutritionist, so this should be a different twist for me. So I'm looking forward to this session and many more that will come. So you're welcome once, you're welcome twice, and you're welcome 3 times. Also, we meet here every week at 8 o'clock for your early birds. If you don't have a church home, come and see us. Amen?
Very good. All right. You want this? All right. Because I did it. Okay. All right, brothers and sisters. Again, my name is Tim Razak from University of Trenton and Razak's Books. And first, I'd like to thank Brother Tim Calhoun and his wife Linda and the pastor, Mr. Mitchell, for inviting us down to Willingboro this afternoon to hear from Dr. Laila Afrika. Let me give you a little background. Razak's Books was a book company that formed about 10 years ago. And I started the company going door to door, also going to various barbershops. As a matter of fact, I started mainly down here in Willingboro, going out to Browning and Cross. I think there's another barbershop in Willingboro, Rawls. We used to go in there in the morning, Saturday mornings, and kick it with the brothers, and sometimes sisters was in there. We read the books and have a good discussion. But recently, matter of fact, last year, we started a lecture series in Trenton. We started off with Alton Maddox, and then we had Dale Jones. You may be familiar with him. He has the book Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Culture Bandits. We also had Dr. Tony Martin. He's the foremost scholar on Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. We also had Ishaka Mustaber Shango. We have some of the books over here if you'd like to take a look at them and purchase for your library. But we had many scholars, historians, and activists come to Trenton over the past year and a half. Last March, we invited Dr. Afrika to Trenton to give a lecture on holistic health. And ever since that time, we've been bringing Dr. Afrika to Trenton at least on a monthly basis, sometimes twice a month, to do lectures, workshops, seminars, and also do personal consultations. And the brother, you're hearing him tonight, but we've been hearing him for the past year. And every time we listen to the brother, we get something new, some new piece of information, some new piece of wisdom on our health and on our history and on this movement as African people here in America. And we're blessed to have a man like him amongst us today, living, that's able to give us this information, to go back, Sankofa, go back and retrieve or fetch that which was lost from us and bring it back here today so we can access it and be able to move forward and use it to move forward today. And I'm not going to take up too much more time, but University of Trenton is located at 208 East Hanover Street, and the phone number is area code 609-396-1661. Make sure you sign the mailing list at the front table. That way we can put you on our mailing list so we can mail out our monthly calendars for our other activities and programs. And we hope to come back down to Willingboro on many more occasions with various speakers, and also bring Dr. Afrika back to do his presentations. But at this time, I know we've been waiting to hear from the brother. I'm waiting to hear from him myself today. So but before I do that, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of people from University of Trenton. That's Ms. Cunningham, Ms. McKeithen, strong supporters of University of Trenton. Isabel Mitchell in the back, my brother Jay, he's the owner of Razak's Books, my father James Glass, my mother Dolores Glass, Jay's fiance Millicent, and my sister Sherry somewhere around here, and Isabel's daughter Chantel. So we have many people here that, again, come from Trenton, come down to participate here in the Willingboro Study Group. And we thank you again for the invitation. And we look forward to coming down and doing much more work with you. But at this time, we'd like to bring before you our warrior, historian, and healer, Dr. Laila Afrika. So let us give him a well-deserved African Willingboro welcome for Dr. Laila O. Afrika. You can put that in side pocket. Stand over this way. I'm not going to blow up, right? You'll be all right. All right. You stand over this way, Doc. Stand over this way? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
just feel knotted up. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for welcoming me here. It's a pleasure to be in Willingboro, wherever that is. I know it's in New Jersey somewhere. But it's a pleasure to be here and to share health information with you so that we all may be empowered to take care of our own bodies instead of handing it over to other people to do with it what they please. Long ago, we weren't allowed in the hospitals anyway, so we had to take care of ourselves. So I'm going to try to return you to that same sort of information we used to use before we were allowed in the hospitals during the times that we did take care of ourselves. But I have to go back and kind of get us all on the same sheet of music here, and that some of you may have noticed that I'm black, and that is not something that occurred because I was in the sun. This is a biochemical reaction in your system produced by your pineal gland that makes a chemical called melanin. That makes your skin black, makes your eyes brown, so you can absorb more color when you see colors. It makes your ears absorb more sound than any other race. It also causes your muscles to have more fast twitch muscle reaction. The melanin content of your bones causes your bones to have a higher mineral content than any other race. And because you have melanin in your body, it transmits information at a faster pace and store information at a greater level than any other race. Because you have melanin in your taste buds, you taste the full flavor of all foods. No other race can do that. What I'm trying to say is that under your skin, we are all different. And your difference is measured in science, and we call that hue. It's how much hue you have that classifies you as a human being. And the hue is the melanin content of your body. And our human content is 6 degree, where the Europeans is at number 1 degree. That causes some problems when you go into a hospital. That causes a major problem. That's why African people died at twice as high a rate of all diseases. Because the melanin, because it's so high at 6 and the Europeans' melanin is 1, when your melanin content falls down to the level 1, according to the lab studies, you're normal. Whereas if you get a normal lab reading, you are sick. Because your melanin content is falling down to the low level of the Europeans. And then when it falls below their level of normal, you're twice as sick. And therefore, biochemically, you die twice as high from all diseases of any race in America and in the world. Now, understand that disease is not just physical. If you have a physical disease, you also have a mental disease. Your brain is in your body. And anything that affects your body affects your brain. So all diseases are mental as well as physical, aside from being spiritual. You may have noticed that African people seem to have more diabetes mellitus than any other group in America. This is not accidental. It isn't. Remember I said diseases are mental as well as physical. Sugar is associated with love and affection. Your grandmother or your mother cooked you some cake on your birthday or whatever the occasion was, and you subliminally associate sugar with love and affection. So anytime you don't get enough love or affection, you tend to eat a lot of sugar. Sugar indicates the inability to receive enough love or to give love. And black people have problems getting love from one another. So we tend to eat a lot of sugar. We medicate ourselves with food. Most of us have what we call clinically an eating disorder. That's a nice way of saying you're mentally ill. You eat all the time. If you're not eating cake, candy, or soda, you're chewing on some sugar. You're either chewing on something, slurping on a candy bar, sucking a soda, or something of this nature, but you're always eating. Potato chips, hamburger, something, you're always eating. If you're eating all the time, you have an eating problem. We call that eating problem an eating disorder. The biggest problem in my field is getting people to change their diet because they're addicted to the food that they eat. You can get an African person to change their religion quicker than you can get them to change their diet. And you know that. So I'm going to go over some information here so we can all have the same kind of background. I'm going to start off with showing you something that resides inside of your brain. We're going to start off with your third eye. This is your brain cells here. These little bubbles here, these represent your brain cells. This is a photograph inside of your brain. And these bubbles here are brain tissue. And this, in this area, is a liquid-filled space that we call the third ventricle of your brain. This item floating right here is what you call your third eye. That is your anatomical third eye. That's in your body. Right now. Every time a planet moves, something moves inside of that galaxy. But it's not a galaxy. It's something larger than that. And you have the largest one in your brain that in your race. It also causes you to be connected to outer space. It becomes inner space with African people. Now, I'm talking about an area called your third ventricle where a gland resides that we call the pineal gland. That's the gland I was referring to that makes this color, this pigment called melanin, which makes your skin brown. It's made by this gland here, primarily by this gland called the pineal gland. And this gland triggers responses in all the other glands. It keeps your body in rhythmicity, keeps everything in clockworking order. Anything that affects this gland will affect all the glands in your body. Anything that alters the ability of your glands to work, a cough suppressant that suppresses secretions of your gland. Antiperspirants that suppress the secretion of your glands. Anything that suppresses the secretions of your glands stops the ability of the pineal gland to function, which lowers your ability to be human, to be sensitive. And this may show up in some kind of disease reaction called obsessive compulsive behavior, where you want what you want when you want, me for me, let me do my own thing, whatever that thing is. Well, according to McDonald's, eating a burger. This is the area I was talking about. I was talking about this galaxy-like thing in the center of your third ventricle of your brain that has these orbitals that moves around, has a female spin, a male spin, does all of these sort of movements. It's a rhythmicity, it's a cyclic kind of energy, electromagnetic energy. In case you think your brain functions like other people's brains, I have some little scientific data here. I go to the thieves to get information. All this comes from white people. It didn't come from anyone black. Now, this is how your brain functions. This is an African man's brain, showing how the brain is producing energy when it thinks in the left hemisphere or right hemisphere. This is a musician called Miles Davis. He, of course, is dead now. We associate the right hemisphere of the brain with creativity, with spirituality, and the left hemisphere of the brain with analytical thinking, mathematics, and things of that sort. So you would figure that if he's playing music, since that's art, that would be concentrated in the right hemisphere of the brain. But according to this CAT scan, as we call it, he is listening to music with his left mind and playing music with his right mind. African people have the tendency to process information that normally goes in the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. They use either hemisphere. It's not confined to one hemisphere. So we process information differently. So therefore we think differently. But when you take certain nutrients into your system that don't have the vitamins and minerals and amino acids in it to help your brain function, which we call neurotransmitters, it stops the ability of you to control yourself. Because all these nutrients are taken out of the food when it's processed. When you make bleach white flour, which is cooked when you buy it, it also has bleach in it, and the bleach isn't taken out of it. You know you have to put your clothes on 2 rinse cycles to get the bleach out of it. Your cells